welcome back to Happening by Chance. My name is Mariana, and today we are going to be talking about tarot for illness. I'm going to do a VR to Marine at the Waves of Your Soul, who recently did her video on how she uses tarot for her illness, for chronic pain, etc. So I am going to do a VR to that. In general, this is a VR to talk about how we use our tarot decks or oracle decks for helping us through our chronic um, health conditions, disabilities, illness, pain, exhaustion, sick bodies, etc. Things like that. The lighting is not ideal. The the quality is definitely not ideal. I hope the video is not completely unwatchable. I feel this is an important video that I shouldn't be experimenting on with like audio and lighting and stuff. But speaking of chronic conditions and sick bodies and exhaustion, I am not currently in a place where I feel like I can be making too much effort in terms of the setup. So let's just roll with it. So firstly, I'm going to tell you guys what my thing is. I haven't lived with health things all my life. It started when I was 19, or rather, it started earlier, who knows when. When I was 19, it's when I had my first major surgery, which was a brain surgery. And then from that, everything kind of like exploded, unraveled, snowballed, etc. And so I have a myriad of conditions, as is often the case with these situations. The latest thing that I had, as you guys know, was a kidney surgery. I've had multiple surgeries over my body, and multiple treatments, etc. And I also have some physical, I guess they would count as disabilities. I earn a disability pension, so I guess it counts. I have this condition called dysphagia or dysphagia. I don't know how to call it in English, and it's so severe that it can, in my case, it can be called aphasia or aphasia. So I can't swallow. It's a swallowing disorder, and that means that I can't swallow water, I can't swallow food, I can't even swallow my own saliva. So I have a feeding tube, and that's how I get food and water, but I can't do it through my mouth. That is one of the things that has most been difficult in my life emotionally, because I can't partake in the sharing of food. If you have ever read any non-fiction about food, if you have ever heard any chef talk about food and the importance it is for humans and sharing, I can't partake in that, and that's really sad, and it's one of the biggest struggles, right, for me emotionally. Of course, other than all of the other stuff that I have, and having continuous medical consults, studies, procedures, all that implies. I also, as you know, have a, motricity issues, mobility issues, because of the neurological thing. the surgery had impacts, neurological impacts that have affected my motricity, my mobility. You guys can't see me walk. I mean, I'm sitting down, I'm talking, but because I also have a visual impairment, I'm blind in this eye, and I am deaf in this ear. Not completely, but almost. I can't hear my alarm if I fall asleep on this side. Um, and like the neurological motricity conditions plus the impairment thing means that you can tell that I walk strangely. So, like, a lot of things. And yeah, I think that's what I'll say about that. So let's move on to the cards and how I use it, how it helps me, etc. I will start with the thing that I realized that I could talk about that I hadn't planned on talking about, which is the actual physical therapy that has been for me using the cards. When you have mobility, motricity things, it's important to do exercises for the different things you have, right? So when I go to physical therapy, I work on my walking, balance, etc. And when I was doing swallowing therapy, I would do exercises for my tongue. I don't know if you've noticed. I mean, obviously in English I have an accent because it's not my first language, but I also have an accent in Spanish, or an accent. There are people who ask me where I'm from because I can't pronounce certain words, but it's not because I'm not Mexican, but rather because of my neurological problems, right? That affected my speech. So I used to do exercises with my tongue and etc. One of my biggest self-consciousness is that I can't roll my R's. I can't even pronounce my name, right? Mariana. I can't pronounce it. And so that makes me self-conscious. I didn't mean to go on this tangent. I was talking about cards. Oh, hold on. I think that is a tarot related package. Yes, it was, but I'm not going to show you because that I was waiting for that for a video that I want to film. Another VR actually. I'm glad the doorbell rang because I was going on a whole tangent. So back to the cards. You have to do exercises to practice whatever mobility or motricity issue you have, motor skills issue you have. And one of my biggest problems is what is in Spanish called fine motricity. Psicomotricidad fina. I don't know how to say it in English. The finer stuff, right? The more detailed stuff. Writing by hand, tying my shoes, buttoning buttons, those kinds of things. And so, handling the cards is difficult for me. But I was remembering the other day that it was even more difficult before. So when I started, if you have seen my channel, you know that my favorite form of packaging are talk boxes. I love talk box decks. And I didn't remember that when I started, I couldn't put the cards back in a talk box. I hated talk box. Well, I hated talk boxes, and I hated two-part boxes, and I hated every box because my mom had to help me with everything. So, for instance, I have right here a deck that I'm going to show you later, but it's a two-part box that is really wide. And these I could not grab. Actually, I can't grab them with one hand. So it was really difficult to open these boxes. It still is. Some boxes like these are very difficult to for me to open. But in general, I hated all boxes because my mom had to help me open boxes, and with talk boxes I could not put them back in, so my mom had to help me put them back in. And now I can. And talk boxes are my favorite. But I remember that recently. And I was like, oh my god, yeah, I didn't remember that I could not with the talk boxes, right? And you know, the cool thing about the brain is neuroplasticity. You literally create paths and you can rework paths, right? And that's why physical therapy is so important. Not everything can be recovered, right? There are things that I can't recover. There is a part in my arm that I don't have feeling no matter how hard you pinch me. I can't recover that, right? The swallowing, I can't recover that. But there are many things that you can. And so by using cards constantly for years, I was creating neural pathways, and my neuroplasticity was working, and now I can do a lot of things with cards that I couldn't before. So one of the things that it has helped me with is that it is actual physical therapy for me, for my hands, for my brain, to handle the cards. And that has been an exercise for me that I hadn't realized, and that it's and the talk box is just an example, right? But in general, I have learned how to do a lot of things, and that helps my hands, right? It helps my hands, it helps my motricity, and it's something that is something I enjoy. I don't feel like I am in physical therapy, and it's helping me. So that is one way. So another way that I have liked to use. Oh, actually, wait, no. I forgot to mention that the whole reason why I got into tarot was precisely for helping me with this part. So I mean, I had always been, you know, curious, fantasy minded, as I heard that descriptor in a video recently. I have always loved fantasy, so you know, magic has always been something that interested me. And then as a graphic designer, it started becoming very popular, with like, for creativity. But it wasn't until 1 year where I had two surgeries and another procedure apart from that, and it was like a really bad year for me, and I was feeling super, super, super bad. Like, I one of those years where I was sure I was going to die. Like, it was bad. And I got an ad for Tarot for the Wild Soul, by Lindsay Mack, and it's an online course that's focused on tarot for healing. And so I enrolled, and that's how I got into tarot. Now, of course, as you know, I prefer now classic tarot, right? I prefer Marseille, Italian, pips, classic pips, but that's how I got into it. So, to work on my body for healing, etc. I feel like I was kind of disappointed that it wasn't what I was hoping for. But through working with tarot, I learned how to make my own practice for healing, right? And here would be a good disclaimer to make that Maureen also made. I have my team of doctors. I go to a doctor all the time. I have constant consults. I have a whole team, and I do all the things. As you know, I had my infamous 4-hour MRI that only lasted 3 hours. Yay! Recently. So I do the things, right? But also I do tarot, and it helps me, and that's how what we are talking about. But um you know, that's important. Like, and also another disclaimer would be, this is my particular situation, and how I have developed a practice that works specifically for my situation, right? Like, here the point of this VR is that we are sharing how we use it, because we can like by sharing learn other people how they do things that could work for us, but it's obviously not like a recipe nor a medical recommendation or anything, right? So that's an important disclaimer. So one of the ways I use the cards is to be in touch with my body and kind of like understand my body and connecting with my body. And so I'm going to show you some cards to explain, right? Like, so the oracle for me that is the one, like, I could never get rid of this oracle, is the Anatomize oracle. I'm showing it. Anatomize oracle. It's a really simple oracle. This is an indie, but I'm also going to show you mass market decks, and also like Marine showed other decks. Like you can have other decks. I mean, obviously, like we each have our own decks and practice and stuff, right? So this oracle is literally, it just has like the cards with the different body parts and the names of the body parts. This one is a major one for me, the spine. So you have the different organs, the name of the organ, and that's it. So this one I use all the time, and I use it in different ways. As I said, I am talking right now, I'm talking about connecting with my body. So often I will just look for the organ or body part that is bothering at a specific time, right? Like for instance, so here for instance is one that I used a lot last year because I had my surgery, right? So this one, although for me it would be more accurate if it was just like this. But the kidney card I use a lot, and there are some in there that I use more than others. And so I would just like literally just get it out and pull some cards, right? So almost as like a significator, but there is some communication that happens between me and my body when I use the cards. Here I want to mention something that Marine said in her video, that I guess it's kind of like what I was doing without putting those words to it, but in a less direct way, and I want to incorporate that practice because it's a great practice that Marine shared, where she talks to her body through the cards, right? So she would ask the kidney, right? Like, hey, like what's going on today? How can I help you? Why are you hurting? That kind of a thing. I actually learned to, like, that practice of talking to my body was taught to me by a Reiki practitioner when I was in a neuro rehabilitation center. I spent several months as an intern, like an intern patient. Anyway, I was interned there for several months, and a Reiki practitioner would go and do sessions on me, and he taught me to speak to my body. Back then I didn't use cards, right? Maybe if I had, I would have done that, but I don't know why I had never connected that. I feel like I did it in a more abstract way, where I would just like pull some organ cards, either the specific organ or like the ones that are related, and then pull some cards and then see what comes up. So I was like trying to understand, as I said, connect with my body, but without the direct addressing my body that Marine does, that I'm going to incorporate, because as I said, I was taught to do that, but I had never connected that I could do it through the cards, and that's pretty great. It's funny because when I first got this deck, I was disappointed by the book because it doesn't have a lot. But in the end, it turned out to be a favorite, and actually, I love that the book has just one paragraph because I have noticed that with anatomy decks created by able people that do huge write-ups, very like, yes, and this organ does this, it puts me off rather than helping me. So that's a funny thing, right? So that is this one, and that's one way I use it. Actually, this is why it's see, I can put cards back in, but when I'm filming, it's no. Anyway, I'll do it later. So how are we doing on time? Oh my god, I have to hurry up. Okay, so this is another one that I have, the Anatomy of Healing, and this is funny because this is one that I've thought of rehoming, but then I realized that during my surgery, I realized that the more cards that I have with body parts, the more I feel like I am in communication with my body, because I like to see different representations, read different write-ups, and that gives me ideas to like for my own, right? And so I realized that no, I could not give this deck away. This is one of the examples of, you know, decks created by abled creators that speak about the body, and then so there will be certain phrases that rub me the wrong way. I can't think of anything specific, but it's a really great deck, right? I don't want, like, I'm not talking bad about any creator. It's just it's my personal experience, and I guess something that should be, it's important to consider, right? Maybe if you're an abled person and you're going to create an anatomy deck, maybe you would want to like see what people with different bodies think about the body, or I mean, maybe not, maybe your idea wasn't to help people with illnesses, right? Anyway, so this one okay, because this one has like keywords as well as the organ name. I guess that's why I prefer the Anatomy Oracle. Some of the phrases really hit and others not. And so it's like the organ and plants. So I really enjoy the aesthetic element of it. So this is, the kidney says, facing my fears. Okay, yeah, this one was, I do remember, and this one being very poignant for me in the hospital. I did a lot of thinking about that. Yes. So you have here, for instance, the lungs, and the lungs says between two lungs. Is that what it says? Yes, between two lungs. Okay, let me look for another one. This is the duodenum, and it says respect me, and so on, right? Like it has different phrases. So that's another one that I use. I also have the and I'm going to talk about that one just because I think it's important, because a lot of people love that one, and that didn't work for me, and I got it because I thought it was going to. So I guess I also want to talk about it because, you know, often in these types of videos, sometimes we think, oh, that deck that worked for someone is going to work for me, and that's not necessarily the case. And it's an expensive deck. So it's the energy archaeology deck that, for instance, didn't work for me. I ended up using that one just for the aesthetic element. Sometimes I pair it with others, but it doesn't really work for me in terms of working my body, right? So, you know, if you are doing this for your health problems, it's important to think of what would work for you. So another way where I work with my decks is the faith aspect, right? I am Catholic. As I said, I'm Mexican. Mexico is a very Catholic country. Just it's a very major part of like the cultural identity, right? It's an important part of my life, and it really helps me through illness. So it's one of those things where if I didn't do tarot, I would still maybe light a candle, do a prayer, that type of a thing, right? And the cool thing about the cards is that it gives added tools to further help in your spiritual practice. And so for me, for instance, a big part of in terms of illness is one, obviously, like prayer, but then the other is also like intention setting, right? I guess that's kind of prayer as well. So for instance, I love rosary plus tarot or rosary plus oracle. That really helps me a lot. And then for instance, also, again, yes, intention setting. So for instance, like, I'm going to use the example of the surgery because that's something that happened recently and I have the example available, right? So that's another way where I would use the Anatomize oracle, right? I would let's get the kidneys card out again, right? So I would have this card out on my altar with a candle lit, right? Next to, most likely, an oracle that connected me with the faith aspect, and specifically a Mother Mary oracle because she is my girl. I never say things like that. I never know if I can pull off expressions like that. She's my girl. Mary's my girl. So I have a lot of decks. My favorite one, as it is often the case, is the cheapest one. Pocket Mother Mary. This one is the one. I don't have the regular size of this one, and this one I use all the time. So I would I think we all know this deck. It looks like it has different paintings, and then in the back it has like the prayers, or not prayers, but like reflections, right? Messages. It's yeah. So I guess this would be like a topic of one, comfort, but then also like an oracle, right? So for instance, this one, there's one that says Our Lady of Answered Prayers, right? So maybe I would put up the kidneys next to Our Lady of Answered Prayers, and that would to me signify like answering my prayers of things going well in the surgery, right? Or but then for instance, like this one says Our Lady of the New Vision, right? And so maybe I would that would spark in me thinking about a different way of viewing the situation, right? Maybe it would make me think about my body and my kidney, and like, yeah, I would have to think of specific situations, but it would give you a new way of thinking of things. Yeah, and so the text in the back would prompt me in my intention setting, in my prayer, in feeling comfort as well, because I do feel a lot of comfort, so I do use it a lot like that. Or sometimes I like to do intention setting with tarot, where, for instance, if I have an upcoming surgery and I am thinking, okay, I want things to go well, right? So maybe I would get out my significator, which would be, again, my Anatomize oracle. And then maybe I would say, okay, so I'm going to pull out the King of Swords for the surgeon, and the, a swords card for the surgery, and then the Sun card for a positive outcome, right? Like I would create a sentence, an intention from tarot cards, and I would place it in on my altar, right? So I would have my significator for my body. I would have my Mary card. I would have my angel blessings oracle. Do I have it at hand? I do. Hold on. This one I keep here because it has a big box with a big book, and I hate big boxes. So this one is just oh my gosh, like it has paintings and keywords, and then the angel names, which I don't use, but I do use the words and the paintings. And in the way that I connect to my body, I can also connect to that part. Then another way that I would use cards that helps me as well is okay, so something I struggle with a lot is exhaustion. And after my latest surgery, even more so, I only have half a kidney, and apparently that really hits you energy wise. So I struggle a lot with exhaustion, being super tired. So I like using cards that have like a fiery energy to kind of like wake me up, uplift me, right? Like give me that fire that I am missing in terms of energy. So for that, actually, my favorite deck that I use for that is the Tarot of the Four Elements, which I keep in this beautiful artisanal pouch. I have a lot of artisanal pouches. I showed this one in my Pip Deck, Modern Pip Deck video. So if you saw that video, you will have seen this one. So it looks like this. It is very, very, no. Okay, no, this is harder than I thought. Very, very colorful, and oh no, because I was keeping a reading that I did for a video, and now they are all mixed up. So it looks like this, right? So it's very, even though, it has all the elements, it's very fiery in terms of its energy. Because it's very colorful, very loud, and I am not, I thought I wasn't a colorful deck person, but I realized I was thinking about it the other day, and I have a lot of favorites that happen to be very colorful. Even though that's not like my preferred palette, as you know, I'm much more like brown, ochre, gold, jewel tone type of a person, like medieval vibe, which funnily enough, medieval vibe would be really colorful, right? Like more primary colors, more like the 60s medieval films, than like the gritty medieval thing that is now going on that is not actually accurate. And in terms of oracle, actually this is one of the Marine made me do it decks. This is the, I have it in Spanish because it's out of print in English. Caroline Myss or Caroline Myss, Messages of Healing. I don't know the name in English. So this one is one of those oracles that has like the image in the front and then the message in the back. Hold on, this is incredibly difficult to do. Okay, yes. So like, where do I put it? I have cards everywhere. Okay, so like this, right? Like you have an image, you have a phrase, and then you have a lesson. And there are some messages that are a bit leaning on the ableist, capitalist, yum, 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 you can do it, you create your reality type of messages, but there are like one or two. Most are really great. So, for instance, this one says, observe subtle changes. This one is really great in terms of like health, right? Because sometimes it is either for the good or for the bad, it is the subtle changes, right? And it's easy to miss them because you get used to feeling bad. And so when sometimes you get a new feeling and you're like, ugh, something else, and you don't realize until you realize. This one always makes me laugh because it's so on the nose. It's take measures to improve your health, but at the same time, it's really great. Like, on one hand, you're like, well, yeah. But on the other, it's really great because sometimes when you're feeling super bad, you don't do anything. And I get this card and it's like, yeah, right, like move, do something, right? Do something. Not sometimes you do need to lie down, but sometimes that's not the way to go, and that's the easiest way to go, but it's not the way to go. It depends. As I said, like sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. But I mean, it's the same, right? Maybe it is one of those days where lying down is what would help you. Then taking action to help your health would be lying down, right? But yeah, I'm not a very constant person, right? Like my Sagittarius nature will make me do the fun thing instead of the thing that helps me. Um, so that's a really useful card. So I combine that one with the 4 elements for fiery energy when I'm feeling just like completely out of energy. And then to end the video, I am going to talk about a controversial topic, which is predictive health readings that I do a lot for myself. Maybe this will be worth discussing in a longer video. Because I feel like when we say predictive health readings, you think you are diagnosing yourself or things like that, which I obviously don't do, or I mean, maybe not obviously, but I don't do. As I said, I have my team of doctors, but I do ask, how is the study going to go? How's the consult going to go? And the reason why I do it is because, so first of all, I don't take the answer as like a written in stone kind of a thing, okay? I've been promising a video where I talk about the misconceptions of predictive readings, and I just haven't filmed it. One day I will. The first thing is that I like predictive readings show you a moment in time, but after the reading, every single thing that happens, every choice that you make, or every choice that your doctor makes, or that the insurance, like, or things that are out of your control as well, right? Everything that happens will affect the future. So you are getting a snapshot of a specific second in time. So it's not determinist. Why it helps me? one of the most stressful, one of the most difficult things for me in terms of illness is the uncertainty. It's really anxiety inducing, and it affects me really bad. And often, I mean, obviously, like the way you cure uncertainty, you can't cure uncertainty because life is uncertain. Like, that's just truth. But, in a band aid kind of way, the way you cure uncertainty is with information. Or, I guess, the opposite of uncertainty would be certainty, right? Which, again, you can't have certainty in life, but in a band aid kind of way. And so that is why tarot, predictive tarot, is really helpful for me in terms of anxiety, because it soothes a momentary uncertainty. Obviously, it doesn't completely eliminate it, because again, I know that whatever is in the cards is not written in stone. But it diminishes the anxiety. It again, band-aid, it puts a band-aid on it. And so if I am just like crawling out of my skin with anxiety, because I just cannot take it, because I am waiting for an answer from insurance, or because I am waiting for the results of a test, or because I have a consult in the morning and I dying to know what the doctor is going to say and how it's going to go, and I just physically cannot handle the anxiety, throwing some cards on the table gets it out of my system. Am I going to hear back from the insurance? Are they going to accept my claim? Is the consult going to go well? Am I getting my results back on time? Whatever question is killing me. Just throw some cards, and it's kind of like, okay, I need to do something to relieve this tension, and throwing cards in a predictive reading relieves the tension momentarily, and that helps. And I'm going to give you an example just of why it's not unhealthy, or I don't know. I feel like people have this idea that, for instance, you saw the reading that I did the day before my MRI. I posted it, and I got the sun, and I got other cards, right? It was a full reading, right? But in the end, I got the sun, so I was cautiously optimistic, right? And I feel like people get this idea that if you do a predictive reading, then that's going to mean that, oh my gosh, ooh, phew, I got the sun. That means that everything is right with my brain. So I'm not doing the MRI tomorrow, and I'm not going to the doctor. I feel like that's what people picture in their heads that happens after a predictive reading. So, of course, like, I pull the cards, it helps me soothe my anxiety. I'm cautiously optimistic, but then I will go to the MRI and to the doctor. And I will talk more about that reading specifically in a video specifically, because that reading helped me in a way, the way I view it, helped me help myself to reduce the time of the MRI, because it helped me help myself. I have heard people say that predictive readings are not empowering, And this is like a new agey idea, right? Like empowering. And I don't know what is more empowering than helping a ill disabled person help themselves to reduce the time of a 4-hour MRI. If that is not empowering, I don't know what is. I just wanted to say that I am aware that there are unethical card readers out there. I wouldn't even call them like that. Unethical grifters out there who read the cards and then promise people with illnesses or with legal problems or with any other type of problem, and they do predictive readings and they make promises. This is an unethical practice and should not be done. The future is always affected by every single decision that you make, that your doctors make, that the insurance makes, that your body makes. Every single decision, every single thing that happens from the moment that you pull your cards affects the future, right? If you're watching this video because you have an illness or a disability and you want to use the cards for help, and you think that the predictive aspect would help because of the way I explained it, you should definitely also consult with doctors and know that the cards are not showing you anything that is written in stone. What I am sharing here is my personal practice and my approach to predictive readings. I'm not showing you decks because for that, obviously, I will use classic tarot, Italian Marseille, etc., or playing cards as well. I love it. The thing I won't use that would be a good thing to use would be Lenormand, but I don't know why the pictures are not helpful for me. IWS is not helpful for me. The abstractness of classic tarot is one, more talkative, two, more on point, three, more helpful in terms of not giving me image anxiety. Like if you're going into surgery and you pull the RWS 10 of Swords, why would you want to? Why would you want to? And I'm going to leave it at that because I have to go do the feeding tube thing, and it's I have physiotherapy after, and I have to go and do it on time, and I am past my time. So I'm going to finish just by saying some things that I am working on the cards helping me, but I haven't quite mastered it. One, fear of death. I'm not going to go deeply into that because that's very personal, very deep, and very big. But fear of death is a major part of my life. Please don't comment on that on the comments. Please, like, I'm begging you, don't. Like, why are you afraid of death? It's going to. Please don't. So I want the cards to help me with that. My idealized self has gotten decks for that I don't use because I'm too scared to. But obviously that mixes with like the faith aspect, right? And like the Catholic decks and the prayer time, etc. Then the other thing is rage. I have seen people talk about how they use their cards for rage, and I don't know. The videos that I have seen have either not been very specific, or they are more new agey, and new agey verges on the ableist aspect. I'm not going to get into it, but it does. So I would like to develop a practice for that, because rage is a very big part of illness, and disability, chronic conditions, all these type of things. Marine talked about in her video about anger, about the injustice of illness, about when you see everyone else around you doing things that you can't do, when you see your friends doing things that you can't do, um, and it makes you feel things. And I would like to work on those feelings, develop a practice for that. One of the I one of the decks I would love to have, and I actually pre-ordered ones, but I had an unexpected medical expense of all things, um, and I had to cancel my pre-order. I wrote to the creator. She was super nice. She was like, "Don't worry about it," and she canceled my pre-order. Was a Reclaim Oracle. I don't know. I feel like feelings is something that I have to work a lot on. One that has helped me a lot is Into the Lonely Woods Oracle. I didn't bring that one, but that one has helped me a lot. But yeah, like something super expressive, super rage, like human despair, like I need something like that. If you know anything like that, please let me know in the comments. So I will actually finish this time with one last thing that Marine mentioned that I loved. Oh, please go watch her video. She talked about nature in a really beautiful way. And about other things. Please go watch her video. But one of the things she mentioned is that she uses Deck sometimes to be a part of things that she can't be a part of, or experience things that she can't experience, things like something like that, along those lines. And so I use books a lot for that. I use a lot of fiction a lot for that. My reading is very escapist. If you follow me on booktube, I say that all the time. And I had never thought of using tarot for that. And one specific thing that I was like, oh, getting on that, is the dysphagia thing, the swallowing thing, the not being able to eat thing. As I said, I struggle a lot with that, right? And so something that I love doing is looking through cookbooks or cooking, not cooking videos like in terms of tutorials, but like food bloggers, people who try food, or looking at pictures of food. When I was in the hospital last time, I would stay up all night watching videos. There are Korean videos where people go to their lunch at work and feel their trays, and you're just looking at them feeling their trays. It's like a weird niche of video on YouTube. I love watching that because it makes me feel as if I were trying the food. Obviously it's not the same, right? But I like watching videos of food. And so I was like, oh my god, like this is a perfect excuse to get a deck. So I bought the Animals and Tarot, which is also Marine made me do it deck. Although Bibi had also showed it years ago in her channel. But yeah, so I thought maybe I would have loved to have a food deck in the hospital with me, and as well as looking at videos of people, just like getting out like cards and looking at food, so go watch Marine's video, and with that, I think I said all I wanted to say. Even though I think it was implied, obviously, I use the cards a lot to work on the emotional aspect that illness and and disability and all that brings. There is incredible loneliness. It is a very lonely thing, which is probably why the Into the Lonely Woods Oracle is such a good tool for me. And there is a lot of, obviously, grief. There is a lot of pain, emotional as well as physical. There is a lot of, as I said, anger. There are a lot of feelings involved, fear, etc. Obviously, I did talk about some of these things throughout the video, but I feel like I didn't specifically talk about examples or decks or ways that I use my cards to help me with those emotional aspects. However, I feel like that is something that we are more used to doing, and that it is a more common practice, whether it is for illness or whatever it is you have going on in life. Using the cards to help you with your feelings, with your sadness, with your grief, etc. That is something that a lot of people do. So obviously, in my case, I do that too, and often those feelings are related to the illness aspect. And for those readings, I use all sorts of decks. If you've seen my channel, you've seen the different types of decks that I use, the different types of readings that I do. One deck that I would love to highlight, because it is made by an awesome disabled creator, is the Tearwater Oracle by Haley Brown. Haley Brown is Canadian and she is disabled, and she is an illustrator, a designer. She has the Tearwater Oracle. She also has a really cute zine that I read last year. She has stickers. She has many things, so go check her out. She has a Patreon. But yeah, so she has the Tearwater Oracle, which is designed with illness in mind. That one has one of my all-time favorite cards when it comes to coping with illness, which is the Alter Ego card. I won't get into that. And then the other thing that I guess I could have talked about at length is that when I first started with tarot, I was also going through grief therapy. It's a specific kind of therapy that we have here, and that there is a word for in Spanish, and I don't know if there is a word for in English, but it's a specific type of therapy that is used to work through loss. Other people use it specifically for death of a loved one, or when you are going to die, but it can be any type of loss. Anyway, I was doing that type of therapy when I was first starting out with tarot, and tarot helped me a lot. So I was doing the sessions, and then I was doing readings, and I took some readings to the sessions. I developed a really special relationship with the Three of Wands. If you are curious about it, let me know in the comments. I don't know if it's worth making a video about. Maybe it is, but anyway. So I do use the cards a lot for emotional stuff, and I feel like I didn't get into that a lot, but that is also part of my practice in terms of illness. So thank you so much for watching. This was long enough. I will see you soon with another video, and in the meantime, I wish you happy reading, whether that be card reading, book reading, weather patterns, charms, pendulum, dice, whatever form of reading you prefer.